This is On the Couch with Dr. K, a show focused on answering the questions of urban and hip-hop adults rising to reach personal stars in daily life. Now, here's your host, Dr. K.
And good afternoon. You're on the couch with Dr. K here on KWAM 990 Talk Radio. I'm so glad to have everyone here on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. We are discussing a very important topic today, and I was talking with my young protege here, Shawn da Barber. How are you today, Shawn?
I'm doing great. Blessed.
Wonderful. We're so glad to have you on. And how are you today, Dee?
I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. And later on in the show, we will have Ms. Dr. Freda Williams, who will be joining us, as well as Paul Robinson. They will be joining us later on in the show. But we've been talking about this topic, to vote or not to vote. Does your vote really matter? And when I walked in today, Shawn, who is always so very conscientious and polite and smart, says, I really don't know about this topic. And I was saying to him, that's perfect. That's what we need to know. We need to know the honest opinion about people out there, because many people like you, Shawn, don't know what they think about this particular subject. Were you going to say something?
Well, to be honest, I was just happy when I found out my president was black. And when that was over with, I just wasn't too much focused in on it. But I know and been hearing about that this was kind of one of the biggest ones going on right now, because there's so many people that's actually running and elected for so many different type of things. So, but I just really don't know exactly what these people contributed to and what kind of people they was before and what they actually gonna do when they serve our country if they get elected. So I just ain't been just really on that kind of topic.
Right. I understand. And, I think you're very similar to a lot of people. In fact, when we get into our stats and facts after our first break, we'll talk about how lots of people tend to vote when it's a presidential election. Not as many people vote when it's a congressional election. So if you want to join in on this really important topic today, give us a call at 901-260-5926 right here on AM 990 KWAM Talk Radio. Remember to like us on Facebook at On the Couch with Dr. K. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns, you may always send them to onthecouchwithdr.k@gmail.com. We'll be right back after this first break.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah. Lose control of body and soul. Don't move too fast, people just take it slow.
For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of Attorney Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and social security cases. Call today at 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and to see our studio cam, KWAM990.com.
For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and social security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
Join AM 990 KWAM on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/KWAM 990.
Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting is a firm dedicated to helping parents, schools, churches, and organizations assess and treat learning, emotional, and behavior difficulties in children. We offer services such as IQ testing, academic testing, behavior analysis, behavioral planning, preventive counseling, parent training, staff development, professional development, crisis management, and risk assessments, and so much more. To enrich the lives of your children, call Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting at 901-650-2569 or email me at kstreeter5@aol.com. Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Crylike Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Crylike Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today.
KWAM 990, the voice of Memphis.
Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. Look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today.
Get it started. Get it started. Get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
And you're back right here on AM 990 KWAM on the couch with Dr. K. And our topic for today is a very important topic. It's a very hot topic. We have a couple of callers already waiting. We are asking the question, to vote or not to vote. Does your vote really matter? We're going to take our first call. Hi, caller. You're on the couch with Dr. K. You have a question or a comment?
I think my comment is a lot of people saying not to vote because they don't think their vote counts, especially on the early vote.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never voted on early voting. I've always voted on the day because I'm kind of like that. Like, does my vote really count when I vote early? But then my other question is, does my vote really count when I vote on the day? So I'm saying to vote because I've been voting since I was 18. But I'm thinking that's why.
Caller, can you turn your radio down, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, so we can hear you better. Thank you. Now.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people are saying not to vote because they don't really think that it counts, especially people that's in my age group.
Okay, and tell me, what is your age group?
35.
Okay. So these are mature adults, and it sounds like there's really a question about corruption in the voting process. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your question and your comment, and we're going to address that in just 1 minute. So we really appreciate your call, and I'm going to let Dr. Williams introduce herself, and then we're going to address your question, which is, does your vote even count on the day that you vote? Because you're even concerned about voting in early voting because you think those votes don't count. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for calling, and continue to listen, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have Dr. Freda Williams. How are you today, ma'am?
Hello, Dr. K. How are you?
I am great. And why don't you tell us what you're running for and your thoughts about whether or not votes count early voting and on the day of?
Thank you. I am running for Shelby County School Board District 1, and that district is downtown, it's midtown, and it's a very important position. And in terms of whether your vote counts, it absolutely does. I want to call your attention to the recent race between Martavius Jones and Reginald Milton. There is only a 25-point difference between the two of them.
Wow.
And just think, if 25 people who voted had decided to not vote, there would be a different outcome altogether.
Wow.
So generally people think, well, my one vote won't really matter. But if you have many people thinking that, then those one votes add up.
Great. I like your response to that. And I also think, too, that if you're talking about corruption in the voting process, I think we're trying to do a better job with that and jumping on that issue very quickly and getting people here early to kind of monitor that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
There are a lot of checks and balances in place to ward off corruption. And the federal and that department of the federal government that oversees elections has been in Shelby County several times to take a look at our process and our outcomes. So some people are very skeptical, but I say it is your responsibility to vote. And let's make sure, by following the processes that are in place, let's make sure that there are minimal chances for corruption to take place.
Great. That's good, because this caller was really, really concerned about the early voting. And in my walking out and being just around this week, I've heard people say that they feel like with the early voting, things happen. It seems like dead people vote, and some people are voting twice. And I think they're referring back to some of the voting scandals of the past. Has that improved any, to your knowledge?
It has. Because of those instances, there's been stricter guidance and stricter oversight from the federal government. And the local election commission knows that they're under close scrutiny. So I think they're doing everything possible to make sure it's a clean election.
Okay, good. Because I think I saw on the news where Mr. Carson is bringing in, he already thought that maybe some people needed to come down and monitor the election process already. So that's a good thing. Well, thank you so much for that question, caller. And I think we have someone else. Hi, caller. You're on the couch with Dr. K. You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment. I'm going to give you a good example, Dr. K, because I'm a political junkie.
Okay.
The politicians in Memphis, if you talk and be sincere with the citizens, I say African American politician is just like the machine. You can't trust the machine, and you can't trust your politician. Now, what politician will vote against the will of the people, just like that school or throwing away that MCS? That the majority of the people didn't understand that referendum about surrendering the charter. Who in their right mind would vote against the will of the people, put 2,000 people out of work? This is what I'm saying. I can't trust my politician, and I can't trust the machine. If I can't trust neither one, I stop voting.
Okay, so are you saying then that you don't vote?
By choice, that's right, because I have the right not to vote.
Okay, all right.
I have the right to the choice not to vote. And a lot of when people get offended by that, I say I'm an honest person. That don't try to control the voting process, because the other folks used to do that. I'm gonna give you a good example. I was talking to this guy, and he made me sick to my stomach. He said, when somebody said I voted for President Obama because he was black. A lot of black folks are not black. I asked this guy, I said, what did President Obama just say? I want to walk down from my mountain and be the 9th congressional congressman. You know that he has to replace Steve Cohen. Then he said, Steve Cohen, now I want you to be president. And I asked the guy, I said, would you Steve Cohen as your president? No, I'd like to vote for President Obama. I said, what if he's tired? And I said, but Steve Cohen and President Obama are friends. We had to get off that color thing. You know why? It didn't work for the other folks. So why would you subscribe to that? Why would anybody subscribe to something that didn't work for white folks? They used to do that. So we always pick up their bad habits, and that's why we're in that rut. Thank you, Dr. K.
Thank you so much for your comment, and I know that's controversial. I appreciate it, and please continue to listen. And I know that a lot of people feel like that's a controversial statement, Dr. Williams, but actually I have spoken with some people this week who feel like it is their right to make a decision about whether they want to vote or not to vote. And Shawn, I'm going to let you speak to that because you're of the younger generation. So tell us a little bit about what people your age are saying in terms of their decision about voting.
Like I said earlier, people my age, we just don't too much really know about the people and about voting, because we just was kind of learning about all the Republican, Democrats and all that. We just was basically learning it. Now we stepping out here and getting in the real world. We actually just now learning exactly what all that's doing and what things people actually trying to contribute out here to the real world. So now, me personally, I don't know about any other 18-year-old, but I'm just kind of figuring out exactly what these people doing and exactly what they mean.
Okay, I can understand what you're saying, because you're saying that younger people are still trying to learn about what the different platforms are so that you can be an informed voter. Would that be fair to say? Yes, okay, and that makes sense. Actually, in our stats and facts for today, and they were found by Stanley Shotwell II, and he is just getting better and better. He is so intelligent, and he found wonderful information for me, and this is a current population survey that collects data on voting and voter registration in November of even numbered years, and they've done this since 1964. And one thing they said is actually, in terms of people who are registered to vote and who actually vote, the numbers start off small. So people aged 18 to 29, about 45% of them vote. People aged 30 to 39, 58% of them vote. People aged 40 to 49, 63% of them vote. People aged 50 to 59, 68% of them vote. People aged 60 to 69, 72% of them vote. And people aged 70 and beyond, 71% of them vote. So it looks like it builds as people begin to feel, I guess, more confident in their information, and they feel like what's going on with them it's actually more affected by what's going on. But the lowest was the younger people, age 18 to 29, 45% of them are voting. You want to say something about that, Dr. Williams?
Right, I do. And we do find that the younger voters are less likely to vote. And when I hear people say, well, no, I just don't participate, I'm just not interested, it makes me want to cry, because I'm old enough to know and remember the things that had to happen for us to be able to vote, for us to have that option as to whether or not we wanted to vote.
Right.
There was a time that we could not vote. Although we were citizens and we paid taxes, we were denied that right to vote.
Right.
People died so that we could have that right to vote. And when I hear people say, well, I'm just not interested, I'm wondering, do you really realize what had to happen for you to even have that option? To not vote.
Exactly. We have another caller. Hi, caller. You're on the air with Dr. K. You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment, Dr. K. This is Adam.
Hi, Adam. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. Let's hear your comment.
Just listening to everyone, and as the young lady just mentioned a minute ago, I'm 45 years old, so from 18 to 45, I've been in the voting process. Through college, my major was political science, so I studied city, local, and state government and federal government, procedures and laws. So anyway, I understood really before then, because of my parents, the necessity of understanding who the politician is running and why they are running. The purpose, what's their political stance. And once I learned that from my parents, when I got into college, that was the thing that I did the most. But back then, we didn't have the internet as we have it now.
Okay.
Just as the young lady was just saying a minute ago, we we have to, young people, 18 to 29, use the internet. Mm-hmm. Use the internet. When President Obama, when he was running, before the election, I went on the internet and I looked all the way back to when he was a congressman in Chicago.
Right.
I looked at the debates that he did. All the debates that he had then when he was running for election back then, many, many years ago, to formulate my opinion. Okay, I know what my stance is. I know what my belief system is. So let me see if President Obama, and the other candidate fit my belief system. And once I did that, it helped me make a clear, conscious choice.
Right.
And I've been doing that for years. I basically, even before the internet, I basically would watch C-SPAN and just study it because that was my major. That's what I did. So I'm just saying, even with the young brother, the brother that called in about the way we vote as a people, I had a lot of flack. I got a lot of flack from that, from my own constituents, because I didn't believe in voting because of color. I believed in voting because of the issue.
Okay.
And that's the thing, even in the 60s, if you look at it in the 70s, you look into the 80s, those were the things that people, when they were making conscious decision on who to choose that would best run the country or best run your city or state or local government, that's what we look for, the issues.
Right. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm sorry, did you have something else?
No, ma'am. That's it.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much for your comment. In fact, I'm going to just say one thing. Some people would argue, and I'm just throwing this out, that a lot of times issues are just so laced with the issues of race, socioeconomic status, gender, and power that they feel that even though a person may state something as being the issue, I hear a lot of people say that they feel like the underlying issue is one of race. And I'm going to let you speak to that, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much, caller, for calling in. And we're going to take a break, and Dr. Williams will respond to my statement right after this break. You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. K here on AM 990 KWAM. If you'd like to participate in this conversation, give us a call at 901-260-5926.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and to see our studio cam, KWAM990.com.
Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting is a firm dedicated to helping parents, schools, churches, and organizations assess and treat learning, emotional, and behavior difficulties in children. We offer services such as IQ testing, academic testing, behavior analysis, behavioral planning, preventive counseling, parent training, staff development, professional development, crisis management, and risk assessments, and so much more. To enrich the lives of your children, call Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting at 901-650-2569 or email me at kstreeter5@aol.com.
The most local talk radio for Memphis, AM 990, KWAM.
For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of Attorney Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and social security cases. Call today at 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
AM 990 is now available on your Android mobile device. Go to the Google Play Store and search for KWAM.
Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. Look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today.
Talk radio for Memphis. AM 990 KWAM.
For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and Social Security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
Join AM 990 KWAM on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/KWAM 990.
Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Twilight Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Cry Like Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today.
Everybody, let's get into it. Get stoked, get started.
And you're back right here on the couch with Dr. K on AM 990 KWAM. We are asking the question, to vote or not to vote, does your vote really matter? And right before our break, Dr. Williams, we were asking, you were about to make a comment.
Right, I was making a comment. One, generally, voting is a cultural issue. If you grow up in a home where the parents vote, then that's something that the children grow up seeing, and they generally do. But I heard the caller say that it is the person's right to not vote, and it is. It's a choice that they can make. But from my opinion, it is a civic responsibility to vote, and not just to go in and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but to be an informed voter, to do the homework, like the caller said that he did, actually went online and looked up the history of the person and made his decision based on that.
Thank you. And, with your comment, another one of our stats and facts for today is to look at how voting trends go in terms of education. And in general, the more educated a person is, the more likely they are to vote. If we look at people who did not complete high school, 38% of them vote. People who completed high school, 53% of them vote. People who have some college but no degree, 63% of them vote. People with associate's degrees, 67% of them vote. People with bachelor's degrees, 75% of them vote. People with advanced degrees, 81% of them do vote. So it is a cultural thing, it's an age thing, and we're also going to look at some demographics by race. In fact, this is a surprising statistic to me. It says 48% of Hispanics vote, 64% of white non-Hispanics vote, 66% of black non-Hispanics vote. And that is true nationally as well as for the state of Tennessee. In general, more women vote than men vote. So, if you look at the voting trends, we would say that the older black educated women are running it, but we all know that it doesn't always come out that way once we actually start to look at how issues end up actually coming into fruition once all of the dust has settled. So I have a lot of comments here from people on Facebook. Tracy just sent something on Facebook, and she says that she has voted in every single election since 1986. Wow. No, I'm sorry, since 1984. She registered in high school, and she says, I take it seriously as those who have gone to war. Voting is my badge of honor. The problem I see is people who feel they have to be loyal to a party. It is important to know who you are voting for and their agenda. Memphis has dug themselves into a hole by simply believing that Democrats, no, black Democrats, would deliver all blacks. We need to be more concerned about who will rebuild our economy and educational system rather than how many black politicians we can put in office. We also have to look for new blood and stop recycling old heads who have become comfortable in their positions and are simply in office for status and perks. What do you think about that, Shawn?
About the people who don't make status and perks?
Mm-hmm. That's fine. We're going to let Dr. Williams. I saw you over there. You were doing some social media stuff. I get you. Okay.
All right.
So, Dr. Williams.
and your Facebook friend has a point to a degree.
Uh-huh.
There are some politicians that I would say are in it for status and perks more so than for service.
Uh-huh.
But the whole idea is that we have to elect people, and they have to come up for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
And those politicians who have not served the public should not be reelected. So it's the public's responsibility to pay attention and to look at that elected official's record and make sure they only put them back in office if they have done what the public needed to be done.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. One question, and thank you so much for that comment, Tracy. I really appreciate it, and continue to comment and to listen to On the Couch with Dr. K. I had a long conversation well into the wee hours of the morning just yesterday about this particular topic. And one question came up, and I think this is a really important question. And the question was, is it more harmful for someone who is an uninformed voter to vote? If you don't know about an issue, if you don't know about the candidate, should you vote or not vote for that particular person? So now you're looking and smiling. So do you want to respond to that, Shawn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That basically goes out like what she was saying earlier. You just can't go and just go in there and just be like any minute, mighty mo, because like I said, they be like everybody vote counts, and if you just going in there, don't actually know what you're doing, and just voting for anybody, the people that actually know what they're doing won't get the chance to see that they vote actually count, because people just doing whatever. And it's just going whatever.
So you think it kind of corrupts the whole thing when people who don't even know what they're talking about decide to vote. What do you think, Dr. Williams?
I agree with Shawn. It's 6 in one hand and half dozen in the other, as I see it. If you're not an informed voter, you could be hurting the very issue that might be important to you.
Right.
If you haven't done your research, you don't know what's going on, and you go in and just place a vote, you could be voting for the very thing that you don't support.
That's very true. Very true. And we have a caller. Do we have a caller? Okay. I'm sorry. Well, we have somebody on the phone, but not a caller. But yes, that's very important. I think that if you don't know what's going on, I can't tell you what to do, because it is your right to vote or not to vote. But we have to really know what we're doing and make decisions rather than just kind of do things without thinking. So, and we talked about this just for quite a while this morning. Another question came up, which was, when politicians are elected and we're watching them vote on issues, you have the choice of voting yay, nay, or abstain.
Right.
And a lot of times you see some politicians decide to abstain from that vote. And some people look at that as being the same as voters deciding not to vote, that since the politicians get a chance to not vote on issues, then it is the same as voters not voting for politicians. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't agree with that. Having been an elected official, there have been times when I abstain, and the law requires that you abstain if there's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
That's a lot different than a person just deciding not to vote with no good reason, just deciding they're not going to participate in the process.
Right.
An elected official, like I said, is required to abstain from time to time, depending on the situation that's up for a vote. If they are, they hold stock in a particular company, then they cannot vote yes or no on a matter regarding that company.
Okay. Now, are there times when they're able to abstain without a reason?
They shouldn't.
But they
and generally they announce the reason for their abstention.
Okay. Right. So they are held accountable for it on some level.
And if they don't, I think their public should hold them accountable.
Yes.
It's important that we watch our elected officials and take a look at their record and see how they're voting and if they're voting in a way that we support. And if not, we have a responsibility to contact them. Most of them have Facebook pages or email addresses on their website, and we should let them know our thoughts on things.
Good. I appreciate that comment. And I have another comment here from a Facebook friend. His name is Johnny, and he says we need to vote only because it's not only because it's the right thing to do, but in most cases the politics is all about money. Just look at our city. It's so divided. You have one side that's very clean and another side that needs a lot of work, and we all pay taxes. And the school system is not doing very well either. This is a reason why we have to vote. Thank you so much for your comment, Johnny. A lot of people either agree or disagree with this, and some people, from what I am hearing this week, are saying that when they don't vote, that's making a statement as well. You're laughing at that. What are you thinking?
I am laughing, but the statement that they're making when they don't vote is a very sad statement. We see the issues that the Republicans have brought to play to decrease voting, to keep people from voting.
Voter disenfranchisement.
Yes, and that should give you the idea that voting is important. Otherwise, they wouldn't go through these measures to make sure that you don't vote. The voter ID law and all of these things, these hoops that they put voters through. If voting was not important, they just say, okay, come and vote.
Not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. But they're making a statement but the statement that they're making, in my opinion, is that I am not involved in the process. I am not living up to my responsibility as a citizen.
Okay. So right after this next break, we're going to talk about not only our 4-point star, which is sponsored by the Memphis Stars magazine, where everyday people can become stars, coming to you in August digitally. On the Couch with Dr. K will be one of the focus areas in this next Memphis Stars magazine edition. So watch out for that coming digitally in August. You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. K right here on AM 990.
Let's get it started. Lose control.
Talk radio for Memphis. AM 990 KWAM.
For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and Social Security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
AM 990 is now available on your Android mobile device. Go to the Google Play Store and search for KWAM.
Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and to see our studio cam, kwam990.com.
Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Twilight Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Cry Like Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today.
The most local talk radio from Memphis, AM 990, KWAM.
Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting is a firm dedicated to helping parents, schools, churches, and organizations assess and treat learning, emotional, and behavior difficulties in children. We offer services such as IQ testing, academic testing, behavior analysis, behavioral planning, preventive counseling, parent training, staff development, professional development, crisis management, and risk assessments, and so much more. To enrich the lives of your children, call Karen Streeter Psychological Consulting at 901-650-2569 or email me at kstreeter5@aol.com.
Get stoned, get it started, get it started, get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
And we're back right here on the couch with Dr. K on AM 990 KWAM. And our topic for today is to vote or not to vote. Does your vote really matter? And we clearly have people who feel very strongly about this topic. Some people feel like people have died and a lot of things have occurred in order to give us the right to vote, and that obligates you, therefore, to vote. And then there's some other people who feel that you have a right to vote and also a right not to vote. So that is our topic for today. If you'd like to join in, give us a call at 901-260-5926. And don't forget to like On the Couch with Dr. K on Facebook and send us your questions, thoughts, or concerns to onthecouchwithdr.k@gmail.com. My wonderful guest co-host today is Dr. Freda Williams. And tell us again what you're running for.
Thank you, Dr. K. I am Dr. Freda Garner Williams. I'm running for Shelby County School Board District 1. Right now, there are no educators on the board, and I think it's important for a school system whose focus is education to have the perspective of at least one educator on that board.
Right.
So I'm asking voters to go to the poll and to vote for Freda Garner Williams. Send an educator to the board.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because in this long conversation I was having yesterday, some person was saying that they feel that the school board should basically consist of teachers and parents. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I do feel that if we have a school board, you do want someone who is an educator, someone who is familiar with educating children. And I know you have a long history of education. So why don't you just kind of go over your history of education?
Right. I started teaching when I was in college. I participated in Teacher Corps.
Oh, okay.
And it was a training program, a 2-year training program that was kind of like student teaching, but it was 2 years of student teaching.
Oh, wow.
I left that process pretty well equipped to go into a classroom and do well.
Oh, good.
And I taught elementary school, and I continued to work in education until I went into administration.
Okay.
I worked in educational technology, working with teachers, helping them to use computers in their classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Worked with No Child Left Behind. So I had several district level positions.
Okay, so you're very familiar,
yes,
with all of the educational issues and a lot of things that are happening in education today. So that's great.
As far as who's on the board, the public makes that decision.
Right.
The state law says that you have to be 18 years at the time of the election.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only qualification. And you have to have a high school diploma.
Wow.
So those two qualifications are the only ones that are established by the state.
Okay.
The rest of it is up to the public to decide who they want on their board.
So Shawn, get ready. You can run for election. You can run. So that's a reason to inform yourself about all of the issues that are out there, because there are lots of young people who are not as close to the situations as they could be. And maybe if they are more informed about what's going on, then they could approach this with more zest and more energy. I do have a comment from Velma, and she says, I always vote. I can't think of a good reason not to. Do your research, and it will guide you on whom to vote for. I declared myself an independent several years ago, so no one party has my allegiance. So there are a lot of people out there now who are making the choice to vote and making the choice, I guess, to be more of a free thinker when it comes to voting. I hear that a lot as well, that people are not just necessarily sticking with whatever party they normally culturally have been familiar with. They're making some of their own decisions. I remember when I grew up, when I was 18, we voted, and we would have a family meeting, and my dad would sit down and basically tell us who we were going to vote for. And so
was that after you were 18?
This was and from 18 to about 25, we would sit around and we would have some discussions about it, because I remember having a very heated discussion about one particular candidate. And of course my dad won, but we had the discussion, but we voted as a family. And those were the decisions that we would make about who we were going to vote for. Now, I'll put it like this. We all said who we were going to vote for.
And that's
but once you get in there, the beauty of it is you really get to vote for who you want to vote for.
Exactly.
And that goes for anybody. So, sometimes I think everybody needs to be aware of this. Sometimes people just say things for the hype of saying something that is controversial. But when they get into the ballot area, they do something completely different.
Right.
They do something completely different, because when it all comes out in the wash, then you can really see how people are feeling about a particular issue or a particular person. Exactly. So they may say what's, politically correct at the cocktail party, but then do something completely different from there. So in our last few minutes, I want us to look at our 4-point star for today. And my words are stop, go, go, go. Let's say that together. Stop, go, go, go. Number 1, stop being unconscious about your actions. Wake up. Make some decisions. Don't just float around. You don't know what's going on. You're voting or not voting, not because it's a decision you've made, but because it's a decision you have fallen into. You're walking around like a zombie, and you're really not taking control over your own life. So first of all, stop being unconscious. Go find out the information you need to find to make yourself worthy of being able to vote for somebody. Go through life with love and energy, because that's what everything is about. When you're going through life and you're making decisions, you need to be energetic about it, and you need to do it with love as your number one priority. And lastly, go vote or decide not to vote. But either way, it matters, and you need to make that decision. Either way, if you decide not to vote, that's going to matter. If you decide to vote, that's going to matter as well. Don't do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Make a very, very clear decision on who you're voting for, whether you're going to vote or whether you're not going to vote. You need to make that decision and then stand up and stand behind the decision you decide to make. So, are there any last comments before I make my last comments? Last comments,
I'd just
Dr.
like
Williams.
to say, this is a record election year in terms of the length of the ballot. Mm-hmm. Study the ballot and go and vote.
Thank you. Shawn da Barber.
I just want to say, if I start and we have this topic again, I'm going to be well prepared. I'm going to do some research.
All right. Okay. I like that attitude. Thank you so much. And as always in parting, I wish you a life full of love, peace, and happiness. If you cannot be in love, then try to be happy. If you cannot be happy, then try to be peaceful. But if your peace has been disturbed, then you need to change your situation. Thank you for listening to On the Couch with Dr. K, right here on KWAM 990. Remember to like us on Facebook. Send all of your questions and comments to onthecouchwithdr.k@gmail.com. Have a great week, everybody.